Have you ever stood in front of your pantry, reaching for that container of mixed nuts, thinking you're doing the right thing, a smart, healthy choice for your elderly mom or dad? Maybe you've even smiled, feeling good about giving them something natural, something crunchy, full of protein, and not overly processed. But then, somewhere in the back of your mind, you pause. And you start to wonder, are all nuts really good for older folks? Or could some of them be doing more harm than good? You're not alone in that thought. Because here's the truth most people don't talk about. Not all nuts are safe for seniors. Some of them, though packed with nutrients, can silently spike blood pressure, worsen kidney issues, mess with blood sugar, or overload the body in ways an aging system just can't handle anymore. And the scary part? You won't see the damage right away. It builds quietly, through little signs you might chalk up to just getting older. A little more fatigue, a bit of bloating, some unexplained headaches, or a sudden change in mood. But when you zoom out, you realize something's off. And it could all start with something as innocent as a handful of the wrong kind of nut. Now, before you feel overwhelmed, I want you to breathe. You're not here to blame yourself. You're here because you care. And caring means learning what actually works. So in today's video, we're diving deep into 5 nuts seniors should never eat, and more importantly, the 5 nuts you should be giving instead. These aren't guesses or trends. They're rooted in how the aging body processes fats, proteins, salts, and sugars, and the surprising ways some of our favorite snacks might be tipping the scale in the wrong direction. And believe me, some of the nuts on the avoid list will absolutely surprise you. So don't click away. This isn't just a snack list. This is real talk that could make a real difference in the health, comfort, and dignity of your aging loved ones. And hey, before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you. Comment health first if you believe that every senior deserves not just to live, but to thrive with the right support, the right food, and the right information. And if you haven't already, take a second to subscribe to Thriving Oldies, because this is where we cut through the noise and talk about what really matters for senior health. Let's do this together. Let's start with a nut that often gets praised for being luxurious and healthy, macadamia nuts. They're creamy, buttery, and honestly, they taste like a treat from nature. And for years, people like Mrs. Ada, a lovely 74-year-old grandmother who watches her sugar, avoids processed snacks, and trusts natural foods, well, she kept a small jar of macadamias next to her reading chair. Just a handful every evening with a glass of warm water. No guilt, no second thoughts. It felt like a wholesome routine. But then little by little, she began feeling unusually bloated after meals. Her digestion slowed down. She often complained of a strange, lingering fatigue, even after resting. She thought maybe it was her age, or maybe her medications. But what she didn't realize was that macadamia nuts, though high in healthy fats, are also very dense and not easy on a senior's digestive system. For someone younger, the body might break them down just fine. But for older adults, especially those with slower metabolism, gallbladder concerns, or sensitive stomachs, these fats become too much to handle. What was meant to be nourishing was now quietly becoming a source of discomfort. And here's the twist. Most people see macadamia nuts on health food shelves and think, well, if they're expensive, they must be better for me. But the truth is, price doesn't equal compatibility with your body, especially an aging body. Not all healthy foods are senior-friendly. So, what's the smarter choice? Try almonds. Not salted, not candied, just raw or lightly roasted almonds. They're easier to digest, they're full of fiber, and they provide energy that supports, not strains, your system. Start with just a few a day. You'll feel the difference in digestion, in energy, even in how long you stay full. Because aging isn't about giving things up, it's about switching smart. And sometimes, it starts with something as simple as changing what's in the snack bowl. Now, speaking of strain, let's talk about the kind of nut that seems innocent enough until you realize it's quietly pushing your blood pressure through the roof. Now let's talk about a classic, a nut you'll find in almost every home, on every roadside stall, and even in grandma's favorite snack bowl, salted roasted peanuts. Sounds harmless, right? And for many of us, they're nostalgic. Crunchy, salty, and easy to eat by the handful while watching TV or chatting with guests. Take Uncle Jude, for example. He's 78, full of wisdom, and always had a jar of roasted peanuts by his recliner. Every evening after dinner, he'd reach over, scoop up a handful, and smile like it was his little reward for the day. But slowly, things changed. His energy dipped. He began feeling dizzy more often. His doctor checked his blood pressure, and it was sky-high. The culprit? That innocent jar of salted peanuts. You see, these peanuts are often loaded with sodium. Not a pinch, but heavy, hidden amounts that creep in unnoticed. And for seniors, that sodium doesn't get flushed out as easily. Instead, it lingers, tightening blood vessels, making the heart work harder. And before you know it, you're looking at hypertension, heart strain, even a stroke risk. Now here's where it gets tricky. Peanuts feel safe because they're familiar. They're cheap. They're everywhere. But familiar doesn't always mean harmless. And let's not forget, many commercial peanuts are roasted in cheap oils, sometimes packed with additives, and worse, stored in conditions that allow mold to grow. The mold? It can release toxins, especially harmful to already sensitive systems. But here's the good news. You don't have to give up the crunch. You just need to swap smart. Try unsalted pistachios. They're light on the sodium, rich in potassium, and have compounds that support heart health and blood vessel flexibility. They're still crunchy, still satisfying, but they work with your body, not against it. Snack mindfully. Snack wisely. Your heart will thank you. Now, from heart strain to something a little sneakier, let's talk about a nut that's often promoted as a superfood. But when it comes to seniors, too much of it can turn from healthy to harmful. Let's head over to Mr. Ocon's story. A kind, gentle man in his early 80s who loved staying informed. He'd read an article one morning that said, Brazil nuts are the best natural source of selenium. And rightfully so, selenium supports the immune system, helps with thyroid function, and even plays a role in brain health. So what did Mr. Ocon do? He added 3, sometimes 4 Brazil nuts to his breakfast every day. No big deal, right? Just a handful of something natural. But then the symptoms began. His hair started thinning rapidly. He felt exhausted, even after a full night's sleep. His nails became brittle. His hands tingled sometimes. He started forgetting little things, dates, faces, names. And when he finally brought it up to his doctor, they ran tests. His selenium levels were off the charts. Toxic. Dangerous. Here's the thing many people don't realize. Brazil nuts contain the highest amount of selenium of any food. Just 1 or 2 nuts a day is enough for the average adult. But once you cross that line, you're in a zone where selenium turns from helpful to harmful. For seniors, whose systems are more delicate and whose liver and kidneys may already be working overtime, this kind of overload can have serious consequences. Now, I'm not saying Brazil nuts are bad. I'm saying too many is bad. And with something that potent, just a little more is often too much. So what's a smarter, safer alternative? Walnuts. Nature's brain nut. They're rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which protect memory, reduce inflammation, and support emotional balance. They're safe, well-tolerated, and beautifully aligned with the needs of the aging brain. Just a few a day, crushed into cereal, added to oatmeal, or eaten plain, can nourish without risk. Because with nutrition for seniors, it's not about excess. It's about balance, about listening to the body, and giving it what it actually needs. And next, we're moving from micronutrient overload to something deceptively sweet. A nut that wears a sugary disguise, and for seniors, could be a fast track to blood sugar chaos. Now let's talk about something that looks innocent, but can quietly stir up a storm in the body: candied or honey-roasted nuts. You've seen them. Golden, shiny almonds, maybe glazed pecans in a festive tin. They sparkle like a treat, and the label often says, lightly sweetened. So it's easy to believe it's just a harmless indulgence. And that's exactly what Grandma Nkechi thought. She was 82, lively and sharp, and always reached for a sweet little almond after lunch. She loved that they felt like dessert without being too heavy. She'd say, "It's just almonds with a touch of honey, it's not candy." But over time, her energy began to dip hard in the afternoons. She'd nod off without meaning to. Her mood shifted, her vision blurred, and then her blood sugar readings came back, with numbers that no longer sat in the safe zone. Her doctor gently broke it down. It wasn't the almonds. It was the sugar they were hiding under. You see, candied or honey-roasted nuts are coated in added sugars, sometimes even multiple layers of it. What starts as a healthy nut becomes a sticky, sweet insulin bomb. And for seniors, especially those with diabetes, prediabetes, or even just slower glucose metabolism, this can wreak havoc. Sugar-coated nuts cause quick glucose spikes. The body panics. Insulin rushes in. And within an hour or two, there's a sharp crash. Fatigue, irritability, confusion. It's a roller coaster that older bodies can't afford to ride. Now here's the trap. A little sweetness won't hurt. But for seniors, even a little can tip the scales, because the body processes sugar differently in our later years. Pancreatic function slows. Insulin sensitivity declines. And the margin for error? It gets smaller. So what's the better option? What if you still crave that gentle, sweet flavor? Plain pecans. Yes, pecans in their natural form carry a subtle sweetness that doesn't come from added sugar. They're rich in healthy fats, fiber, and antioxidants that actually help regulate blood sugar, not send it into a spiral. And their natural texture is soft, making them easier to chew for aging teeth. Sprinkle them over oatmeal. Mix them into a salad. Or just enjoy a few with tea in the afternoon. It satisfies the sweet craving without the metabolic mess. And more importantly, it respects the delicate balance your loved one's body is trying so hard to maintain. Now, we've looked at fats, we've tackled sugar. But there's one more nut that's a favorite in many households. Creamy, mild, feels harmless. But for seniors, it can quietly burden the kidneys. Let's talk about it. Now, let's talk about cashews. So, creamy, comforting. They've got that gentle crunch that almost melts when you chew. They're easy to love, and for many seniors, they're a go-to snack. Take Auntie Rose for instance. At 76, she loved her cashews. Every morning after her walk, she'd sit with a handful and say, "This is my little bit of joy." And for a while it really was. Until the discomfort started. She began waking up with back pain. Her ankles swelled more often. Her urine output changed. And after a few tests, the truth surfaced. Her kidney function was declining. The doctors dug deeper and traced some of it back to oxalates. Cashews, while plant-based and nutritious in many ways, are rich in oxalates, compounds that can worsen or trigger kidney stones and renal stress, especially in people whose kidneys are already working overtime. Now here's the tricky part. Most people think cashews are so soft and buttery, they must be easy on the body. But in reality, their smooth texture hides a more complicated profile. Oxalates don't show up right away. They build, they irritate, and if not managed, they become a real threat to kidney health. Especially for seniors who may already have conditions like hypertension or diabetes that stress the kidneys. But you don't need to give up richness or flavor. There's a smarter choice: hazelnuts. Hazelnuts are gentle on the kidneys, packed with vitamin E and powerful antioxidants, and support the nervous system and cognitive function, which, as we age, becomes just as important as physical strength. You can crush them over porridge, blend them into nut butter, or simply snack on a few with an apple. They give you that same sense of comfort, but with much less risk. Because at the end of the day, you're not just eating for pleasure, you're eating to protect. Now that we've walked through the 5 nuts seniors should avoid, let's flip the script. Let's talk about the 5 nuts seniors absolutely should be eating regularly. These are the unsung heroes, the ones that work with your body, gently, lovingly, and with purpose. Let me tell you about Mr. Bello, a retired teacher with a sharp wit. He told me he feared memory loss more than anything else. So he started adding walnuts to his morning pap. Within months, he said he felt clearer, more focused, less foggy in the afternoons. Walnuts are loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, which reduce inflammation in the brain and help maintain sharp memory. They also contain antioxidants that fight age-related cognitive decline. Best served crushed into oatmeal or yogurt. Pair with a spoon of honey or sliced bananas for extra brain fuel. Meet Mama Stella. She was petite and prone to bone aches. Once she started incorporating almonds daily, her posture and energy improved. Almonds are rich in calcium, magnesium, and plant-based protein, all of which support bone density and muscle maintenance. They're also high in fiber, making them excellent for digestion. Soak them overnight to make them softer and easier to chew. Pair with dates for a sweet, energy-boosting combo, perfect for a mid-morning snack. Pecans were a surprise hero for Baba Onu, who was managing high cholesterol. He switched from fried snacks to pecans, and within weeks, his energy levels climbed. These nuts are rich in antioxidants, particularly vitamin E and flavonoids, which protect the heart and cells from damage. They also support healthy cholesterol levels. Best served raw or lightly roasted, no sugar, no salt. Pair with a few dried cranberries for a heart-healthy treat. Elderly Mrs. Bassi had rising blood pressure and trouble with her vision. Her nutritionist added pistachios to her diet, just a handful a day. Now, her readings are more stable, and she claims her vision is sharper than ever. Pistachios are naturally low in sodium and high in potassium and lutein, perfect for blood pressure control and eye health. Enjoy them unsalted, as a snack or blended into a smoothie. Pair with low-fat yogurt for a potassium-packed afternoon bite. Hazelnuts for calm, cognition, and comfort. Back to Auntie Rose. After she left cashews behind, she started trying hazelnuts. She noticed she slept better, had more mental clarity, and her mood stabilized. Hazelnuts are rich in vitamin E, which helps protect the nervous system and supports emotional balance. They also contain compounds that improve circulation and heart rhythm. Crush them into powder and stir into warm cereal. Pair with cinnamon for a calming start to the day. Now imagine this. You create a small nut mix at home, just walnuts, almonds, pecans, pistachios, and hazelnuts. No sugar, no salt, just clean, healing food. You portion it out weekly in jars, and you know that every handful you give to your mom, dad, or grandparent is a step toward strength, not suffering. Because in senior care, it's not just about avoiding harm, it's about adding nourishment. Every bite counts. And the right nuts? They could be the silent supporters behind better sleep, stronger bones, clearer thinking, and steadier hearts. So, now that you know which nuts to toss out, and which to keep close, let's take a moment to talk about what this really means for you and your loved ones. Shall we? It's hard, isn't it? Watching someone you love grow older. The hands that once held you steady now tremble just a little. The eyes that once saw everything sharp now squint to make things out. And the person who always seemed so strong, so unstoppable, now gets tired after simple tasks. Stuff. Not just because of what's happening on the outside, but because of what it makes you feel on the inside. You start asking yourself, am I doing enough? Is there something I missed? What if I gave them something I thought was good, but it's actually hurting them? And that hurts. Because your intentions were never wrong. They were built on love. But sometimes, love needs more than good intentions. It needs information. It needs understanding. It needs gentle adjustments. The truth is, something as small as a nut can quietly affect the heart, the kidneys, or the brain. And if you're not paying attention, the damage happens slowly, silently, until the signs become too loud to ignore. But here's the powerful part. You don't need a medical degree to make a difference. You don't need fancy tools or expensive plans. You just need awareness. Because now that you know what to watch for, what to remove, what to replace, you have the power to protect. Think about that for a second. You can support clearer thinking by choosing walnuts. You can reduce blood pressure risk by switching to pistachios. You can ease digestion, support the kidneys, stabilize sugar levels, all through something as simple as changing what's in a snack bowl. So today, I want to ask you, take just 5 minutes. Go to the kitchen. Check the nuts in the cupboard. Read the labels. Look for salt. Look for sugar. Look for words like glazed, roasted in oil, honey-coated. And if you find anything that doesn't belong, replace it. Even if it's just one jar. Even if it's just one handful. Because for a senior's body, one handful a day can either heal or harm. That's how delicate and how important this is. But please, don't let this overwhelm you. Don't carry guilt. Carry grace. Carry hope. Because you're here, learning. You're asking questions most people don't even think to ask. And that means you care deeply. And caring? That's the strongest medicine of all. And remember, you're not in this alone. Here on Thriving Oldies, we walk this journey together. We explore the little details that lead to bigger peace of mind. We take the guesswork out of caregiving. And we remind each other that aging should be full of wisdom, not worry. So let's keep moving forward. One small, powerful step at a time. Because your love, backed by knowledge, has the power to change everything. Let's take a moment to breathe and recap what we've learned today. Because sometimes, the smallest things carry the biggest lessons. So here's what we uncovered. If you're caring for an elderly loved one, or if you are that loved one taking charge of your own health, there are 5 nuts you need to be especially cautious about. Steer clear of macadamia nuts, too heavy for fragile digestion. Salted roasted peanuts, sneaky sodium that raises blood pressure. Excessive Brazil nuts, packed with selenium that can overwhelm the body. Candied or honey-roasted nuts, sugar traps that wreak havoc on blood sugar. And cashews, creamy, yes, but high in oxalates that strain the kidneys. Now, instead of those, fill your snack bowls, your trail mixes, and your breakfast plates with walnuts, brain boosters rich in omega-3s. Almonds, gentle on digestion and good for the bones. Pecans, sweet and heart protective. Pistachios, friendly to your blood pressure and your eyes. And hazelnuts, nourishing your nerves and lifting your mind. Each one chosen not just for flavor, but for function. Because food shouldn't just taste good, it should do good. And now I want to hear from you. Which one surprised you most today? Was it the cashews? The candied almonds? Or maybe you're thinking, wait, I thought Brazil nuts were healthy. Don't worry, you're not alone. Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's start a conversation. Your story might just help someone else feel seen and supported. And if this video gave you even one aha moment, if it helped you understand a small but powerful shift you can make for yourself or someone you love, then I want to invite you to subscribe to Thriving Oldies. We don't chase trends. We chase truth, and we offer real-life wisdom that honors the journey of aging. Because seniors deserve more than survival. They deserve to thrive. And here, we make that possible, one video, one conversation, and one small change at a time. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Give this video a like if it resonated with you. And know that you've just taken one of the kindest steps you can take for the health of someone you care about. Thank you for spending this time with me today. It means more than you know. Until next time, stay kind to yourself, stay curious about what really helps, and most of all, stay thriving. We'll talk again soon.